everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, and what a show we've just seen. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn for immediately one of the best takeovers of all time. I'm sure it'll be some people's favourite as well, because that's how great the show was. We're going to break down match by match by match everything that happened, as well as a few surprise appearances too, one in particular which I'm sure has set the wrestling world ablaze. So yeah, let's just crack on with it. This is what happened at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn number 4. So talk about starting a show off hot. We started with the NXT Tag Team Championship match, which immediately will have been many people's favourite match on the card. Personally, I think it may have been my favourite, if not second favourite. I think another match may have eclipsed it, but it was right up there. For me, a 5-star match, absolutely. It was the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong defending the titles against Trent Seven and Tyler Bate, Moustache mounted. This was a fast-paced, excellent opening match to get the crowd very, very hot indeed. There was a lot of strikes, there were a lot of innovative double team moves on the inside and on the outside, some of them from the inside to the outside. One spot I particularly remember was Tyler Bate doing his weird shoulder bounce off the ropes, but he did it on the outside, off the bottom rope back to the outside, big lariat. Trent Seven was just slapping the hell out of everyone, particularly poor Kyle O'Reilly, whose bumping was hilarious throughout. And the action in this match, it bears repeating, was incredibly fast and incredibly high octane. Now, the most important spot here came when they kind of redid what happened on the NXT episode where Moustache Mountain lost the titles back to the Undisputed Era, but this time the roles were reversed. Back then, it was Trent Seven caught in the submission and Tyler Bate threw in the towel. This time, it was Tyler Bate caught in the submission, Trent Seven grabbed the towel, thought about throwing it in, and then just chucked it into the crowd. A very dramatic moment, and from that point on, it seemed as though Moustache Mountain might be winning the belts straight back. But it wasn't to be, as the Undisputed Era found a second wind and really fought their way back into the match, and pretty much won without any help from Adam Cole, without any help from Bobby Fish, who we haven't seen in quite some time actually. He might still be on the shelf as far as I know, but yeah, they did it pretty much on their own back, and it looks as though they're going to keep hold of those titles for at least a little while longer, because something happened after the final bell to establish their next set of challenges. Yes, after Moustache Mountain were taken to the back all defeated, and the Undisputed Era posed victoriously in the ring with their titles still intact, they were jumped by Hansen and Raymond Rowe, the War Raiders, formerly known of course on the independent scene and in New Japan as War Machine. The War Raiders basically battered the champions and established themselves as new, I guess, babyface, pseudo-babyface contenders. Yes, they did a bit of a heelish thing, jumping their opponents after the bell, but anyone who goes up against the Undisputed Era are going to be the babyfaces, and the War Raiders are the sort of team that can work equally well as heel or babyface, because they're the sort of guys who can be mean and nasty when it suits them, but against a more heelish team, they can really get the crowd behind them because they're big guys who run around really fast and hit really hard. Sometimes wrestling is quite simple. Next up, we had what I'm going to call the weakest match of the night, but that doesn't mean it was a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. The bar was just set incredibly high. Now, it did have a bit of a tricky job following the excellent, in my opinion, 5-star opening match, but this was EC3 versus the Velveteen Dream. This was a very interesting one because it seemed as though neither guy could really take another loss. Both have lost quite a lot recently. I thought that EC3 was going to win purely because it seems as though Velveteen Dream is much more suited to bouncing back from a defeat, whereas EC3, especially back in Impact, had a gimmick that revolved a lot around being unbeatable, about winning all of the time, and he hasn't really done that so far in his NXT career. A lot of interesting stuff happened here. One of the most interesting things was Velveteen Dream's entrance, where he turned around to reveal that on the back his tights said, "Call me up Vince," which I imagine simultaneously made wrestling fans all around the world burst into laughter. I certainly did, as you would have seen on our stream if you very kindly watched it. It was utterly hilarious, and Velveteen Dream continues to top each previous entrance that he's made, and I don't know quite how he does it or where he goes next, but I can't wait to see what it is. In the end, it was Velveteen Dream who actually picked up the victory, which I didn't predict at all, hitting the rolling Death Valley driver on the apron, then heading up top and hitting the big flying elbow drop onto EC3 on the apron. He was still on the apron, then he rolled him back inside and pinned him for the 1-2-3. I hope EC3's alright, because towards the end something, I'm not quite sure what, busted him wide open. There was quite a lot of blood right at the end, but that was kind of wiped off. So by the time that Dream was celebrating on the top of the stage and the camera cut back to EC3 in the ring, most of the blood was wiped away and he seemed to have regained his senses. He seemed to be okay. So hopefully that was just, you know, a bit of a nasty cut and nothing more serious. Midway through this match, something very interesting happened. The crowd popped huge for something off screen. I thought it was Matt Riddle being led into the arena because everyone turned around, and then the next time the camera was over in that direction, there was a mysterious guy in an all-white hoodie with the hood up, and I thought, well, that's got to be Matt Riddle. Of course it has. They're going to sneak him out there. Everyone will have clued in, oh, that's definitely Matt Riddle. And that's what the huge pop was. Turns out that was just a fan who decided to wear his nice white hoodie for the event and keep the hood up all the time and not actually Matt Riddle. Apparently the pop was because the screen had broken and then it fixed itself. So, you know, bit disappointing. Or should I say not disappointing at all, because after the match, the camera then panned around to the other side of the arena and there was Matt Riddle, who we all kind of know had signed for WWE. It was a kind of a big open secret by this point, but at the same time, it was very exciting and surreal to see him stood in a WWE NXT arena. He was wearing a very interesting outfit. There was a suit with a tie and a shirt that none of it matched each other, and a cap as well to top things off. But he looked awesome. He's Matt Riddle. He's one of the coolest guys in wrestling, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Someone on our live stream, I can't remember who it was, but someone commented saying, would you like to see Keith Lee versus Matt Riddle in NXT? Absolutely, not straight away, but once both guys have become more established on the brand, I would love to see Matt Riddle versus Keith Lee. There was an excellent match between the two in PWG where they totally tore each other apart, proving that they've got incredible chemistry, and I think that replicated on a grander stage would be match of the year stuff. Next up, another excellent match, another match that was touching 5 stars. I don't think it was quite as good as the opening tag team match, but this was excellent. Bit of a slower build to this match than the previous two. It was Adam Cole versus Ricochet, and Adam Cole was kind of trying to ground the action against Ricochet throughout and trying to wear him down in defense of his North American Championship. But then as Ricochet worked his way more into the match and it began to swing more in his favor, Adam Cole had to get very clever indeed. This is one of the best examples I've ever seen in wrestling of a wrestler having his opponent well scouted. It was told to perfection. Ricochet would go for some ungodly high-flying move and Adam Cole would have it scouted. It was a stunning example of excellent timing in a wrestling ring. The most impressive that I can remember was when Ricochet went for like a line salt basically off the middle rope, went flipped back into the line salt, and on the way around Adam Cole super kicked him in the face, neck area. It was perfectly done and Ricochet sold it like death. But that was not the end of the match. Ricochet continued to kick out of everything that Adam Cole could throw at him and eventually actually had him down and headed up top for the double 450. What's a double 450 for the 900, I guess? 900? Do they call it a 900 or do they call it a double 450? For the big move that he does off the top rope, but actually Adam Cole rolled over to the other side of the ring and got up on the apron on the opposite side as if to say, ha ha ha, you haven't got me. Except he totally did have him, because Ricochet jumped down off the top rope, sprinted across the other side of the ring, and launched himself into an insane twisting Hurricane Rana kind of thing to the outside. Adam Cole took a massive bump. Ricochet rolled him back in, hit the double 450, and picked up the pinfall victory. He is now the new NXT North American Champion. But don't worry about Adam Cole, because if anyone can bounce back from a title loss without losing any momentum or any popularity, it certainly is Adam Cole. In fact, one of the coolest things about this match was the fact that Ricochet, one of the most popular wrestlers around because of his style and because he was the babyface in the match, was getting cheered just as much as, maybe even a little bit less than Adam Cole was. The crowd love Adam Cole, despite being a smarmy heel. He's one of the most over guys in wrestling right now, partly because of his catchphrase. It's really fun to shout Adam Cole baby along with him, but also just because he's really good and is swimming in charisma. Next up, the one match that myself and Sam differed on in pursuit of the Cultaholic Heavyweight Championship. But more importantly than that, this was for the NXT Women's Championship between the champion Shayna Baszler and the challenger Kairi Sane. They have history. Remember that Kairi Sane beat Shayna Baszler in the finals of the inaugural Mae Young Classic. Again, this was a phenomenal match and could well be some people's favourite match of the night. I wouldn't blame you for saying so. It was excellent, apart from one pretty nasty botch early on where there was some kind of suplex and Kairi Sane landed right on top of her head, but thankfully she was okay. The opening portion of this match was really dominated by Shayna Baszler's horrible working of Kairi Sane's right leg. Legs should not bend and twist in the directions that they did. At one point, Sane's leg was bent at an unnatural angle, and then Baszler bent her foot at an even more unnatural angle. There was some horrible shapes going on with Kairi Sane's leg. I'm guessing she must be double jointed or something, triple jointed, quadruple jointed Kairi Sane. But like any good babyface, Kairi Sane fired up and fought her way back into the match in a different way than I've ever seen Kairi Sane fire up in WWE. Normally she fires up in kind of a quiet, you know, kind of pleasant babyface way, like Ricky Steamboat or something. She's not angry, she's just determined. She got angry in this match. She was at some point screaming in Shayna Baszler's face and actually hit her with 3 massive moves where we all thought it was the end of the match. First, she hit her big, insane elbow off the top to the back of Shayna Baszler. Baszler rolled out the ring. Then Kairi Sane hit a Tanahashi-esque, for the New Japan fans out there, big crossbody to the outside, then rolled Shayna back in, then hit the conventional insane elbow to the chest of Shayna Baszler, and Shayna Baszler bloody kicked out. A little bit later, Shayna then caught Kairi Sane in the rear naked choke, but Kairi Sane actually managed to make it to the ropes, maybe twice actually. That might have happened a couple of times, I can't quite remember. And eventually, Sane came off the top with another attempt at the big elbow, and Shayna Baszler reversed into the rear naked choke, turned to face the hard camera. It was definitely over. She sat back, and Kairi Sane rolled over and pinned her 1, 2, 3 to become the new NXT Women's Champion. Shayna Baszler lost, and so did I, and that means that for our SummerSlam predictions video, reactions video, excuse me, I'm going to be a butler, and I'm going to wait on the other 3 lads hand and foot. And finally, the main event, a match that was supposed to be a triple threat for the NXT Championship between the champion, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, his nemesis, and Aleister Black, the former champion. But unfortunately, Aleister Black sustained a legitimate injury at some point, which they wrote off by having him be jumped in the parking lot, potentially by the Undisputed Era, for reasons so far unknown. In fairness, it might not have been the Undisputed Era, we don't know yet. There was an interesting theory floating around that it may have actually been Jonathan Gargano who did it so he could get Ciampa on his own. Another theory which I saw before this match, which I thought was worth mentioning, was that this match would see Gargano turn heel, and then the pair would reunite and head up to the main roster together as a reformed heel DIY. I thought, how could that possibly happen? I thought the only way it could happen would be if Gargano essentially attacked his wife, because she's like ultra babyface and you can't be attacking your wife. What are you on about, Gargano? Thankfully that didn't happen. It would have been majorly controversial if it did, but this was still an excellent match and a massively worthy addition to Gargano and Ciampa's excellent series so far. All through the night and previously in the week in the build-up to this match, Gargano had been hinting on social media that he was going to embrace his dark side. And yeah, it may well have turned heel, as many people thought, especially during the opening ring announcements when he jumped Ciampa before the bell and kicked the match off straight away with a big flurry. It's worth mentioning, of course, that this was a last man standing match. Both men would have to answer the count of 10 if they were knocked off their feet, and the first big challenge for Gargano came when Ciampa hit him with a big air raid crash through the announce table. It was brutal. There weren't a lot of things cleared off that announce table. He jumped from the English one to the Spanish one, and they just crashed through the hard casing on the outside. They didn't remove that or anything. It set the tone for what was an utterly and fittingly brutal match. Later, Ciampa tried to use sleeper holds to wear Gargano down, but he was always answering it at the count of sort of like 7 or 8 or 9. He was getting back up to his feet, having been rendered almost unconscious by Ciampa. Then they set up sort of a weird table contraption on the outside. Gargano did actually, with evil intentions. There was a table there placed normally, and then there was another table on top of it, but not towered up, not stacked, like a delicious KFC meal. Don't know where that came from. It was actually upside down with the legs in the air. It looked evil, and you know, everyone was then from that point on waiting for someone to go through it. Before that though, Ciampa hit a running chair assisted knee to Gargano on the outside after a poor young sort of ring announcer type timekeeper assistant, I guess he was kind of the timekeeper on the outside, got hit with an errant super kick and was unconscious. Ciampa then ran, hit a knee assisted chair shot to Gargano, and then just buried Gargano under a lot of stuff. The timekeeper's area, the little table itself, some stuff from the announce table was chucked on top of him, some chairs from the announce team, and that poor unconscious lad himself was flung on top of Johnny Gargano. And at the count of 9, Gargano emerged like a demon or zombie from the pile of rubble and confronted Ciampa once more. Then they worked their way back over to the table. Oh, I should mention as well, there was a spot referring to their second match where the ring, sort of the canvas was stripped away and the wood underneath was exposed, and at one point Gargano hit a DDT on Ciampa, the reversal of the situation, onto that exposed wood, but Ciampa answered the count by rolling to the outside. Then it was Ciampa who went through the tables on the outside as Gargano had him on the apron and just waved him goodbye and then knocked him off. Ciampa fell through that horrible contraption. He seemed fine, I think, and managed to make it to his feet at the count of 9 while Gargano prayed in the ring. Finally, they broke out the handcuffs. Gargano dragged Ciampa to the top of the ramp, did the spot where Ciampa first turned on Gargano, threw him into the stage at the back, the set, and then handcuffed Ciampa to the side stage sort of area, like a production, a big screen or something, and then just blasted him with super kick after super kick. The referee was counting to 10, he was trying to count to 10, but Gargano kept dragging Ciampa back to his feet. Ciampa was saying sorry. He was apologising for what he'd done to Gargano, and Gargano was going, it's too late for that. Bang, another super kick. You've done this. Bang, another super kick. It was on the verge of a heel turn. Finally, Gargano, with Ciampa at his mercy and with a massive opportunity to win the NXT Championship, pulled down the knee pad, ran and kneed Ciampa's face off, but sent himself in the process tumbling into the production area where he, kayfabe, dislocated his knee. Both men were then struggling to get back to their feet. Well, no, Ciampa was just flat out. He just couldn't move. Gargano was struggling to get back to his feet, and at the count of 9, Ciampa rolled off the little platform he was on and stood on his feet, still handcuffed to the thing, still the NXT champion, while Gargano lay before him, unable to get to his feet because of the knee that he himself injured trying to brutalize Ciampa. With the match won, Johnny, with the match won. And that's how the show went off the air. I don't think Gargano's turned heel at all. He refused medical assistance. He didn't want a stretcher. He was kind of just helped to his feet, sat on the ramp, and Ciampa stood in the background holding his title belt high as the show went off the air. What an ending. What a sad ending. But hopefully not the end of the story yet. So that's it for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4, an unbelievable show, and once again, as every takeover seems to do on the weekend of a big pay-per-view, the following night has a hell of a lot to live up to. Good luck SummerSlam and everyone on the card, but it's going to take a monumental show to top what we've just seen. There are various potential match of the year candidates on this show, particularly that opening tag match, Gargano versus Ciampa. And you know what? Everything on the show could well be your favourite match of the show and one of your favourite matches of the year, apart from maybe EC3 versus Velveteen Dream, but to be fair, that had a very hard act to follow in that opening tag match. Also, Matt Riddle's coming to NXT, and the War Raiders have established themselves as the new challengers for the Undisputed Era. What's next for Gargano and Ciampa? I have no idea, but I cannot wait to see what it is. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. Do not forget that we'll be reacting to SummerSlam tomorrow. That won't be a live stream, but our reactions will be recorded and put out soon after the event. Thank you once again, and you can follow me on Twitter if you wish at Jack the Jobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic, and check out Patreon too, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, obviously, to join us.